rooster. He says it's believed they died of salt poisoning after drinking water in their new habitat. I'm Dave Mattingly, NPR News in Washington.
Good morning from the BBC in London. I'm Puni Gadusi with BBC Topline. Our top stories this hour. Donald Trump is having talks with the British Prime Minister the day after criticising her Brexit strategy and praising one of her main political rivals.
Just wonder, after last night when Team May came out thinking, well, everything's gone pretty well, it all seems to be quite cheery, and then...
The host says Donald Trump has arrived in London, but Great Britain is far from happy to see him. Britons greeted him with protests and placards saying no to racism and no to Trump. Elsewhere, Chinese investigators have concluded that Air China pilot mistakenly caused his plane to begin an emergency descent.
Chinese state media said the co-pilot was smoking a cigarette in the cockpit in an attempt to stop the cigarette smoke from reaching passenger users who tried to turn off the new cabin circulation system. Oxygen levels on board. The plane then began a steep emergency descent, and passengers were forced to wear breathing masks.
Celia Hatton, I'm Puni Gadusi at the BBC.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where employers can post job and use screener questions to build their short list of preferred candidates. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. From Charles Schwab, when it comes to wealth management, Schwab believes in asking questions and being engaged, so investors can better own their tomorrow. Learn more at Schwab.com. And from the William T. Grant Foundation at WTGrantFoundation.org.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm David Green.
And I'm Rachel Martin. We've got an update now on the children who were separated from their families after crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. A federal judge in San Diego will decide today if the government is doing enough to reunite these families. The Trump administration said yesterday that all of the, quote, eligible children under age 5 have been reunited with their parents. But nearly half of this very young group, 46 kids, were deemed ineligible by the government for reunification. Joining us for more, John Sepulveda of member station KQED, who's been covering this story from the beginning. Hey, John.
Hi, Rachel.
Why are these children being considered ineligible for reunification?
Well, in large part because their parents are unable to take them. In some cases, it's because their parents are unable to take them due to crimes committed in the past. One man from Guatemala is alleged to have committed murder in his home country, but then the crimes seemingly get rather minor. There's a man who, for example, won't be reunified with his child because of a DUI conviction. And then there are the 12 parents who've been deported. These are people who have been sent back to their country of origin, and their children are still here in the United States.
Sent back as a result of the recent immigration policy by the government.
Exactly, and in some cases, and KQED has confirmed this, they've been told, hey, sign this piece of paper, we'll get you on your way, we'll get you back with your kid, and instead it's almost like a straight ticket to deportation.
Okay, so what's this federal judge looking for today regarding these 46 kids?
Well, he wants to make sure that, these kids actually can't be reunified, and maybe perhaps, and not to speculate, but perhaps like in the case of the DUI, they can be reunified. The judge is also going to consider some of the details of this. One of the things to come out in this court proceeding is that Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers, ICE officers, have done things that, they are pretty, at the very least, eyebrow-raising. For example, ICE officers dropped off a mother and her children after reunifying her with her young child, their child, at a bus station with no money and no way to get anywhere and just no way to call anyone. There's another example where ICE seemed at the very least incompetent. They were, according to court proceedings, they were supposed to fit somebody with an ankle monitor, but not, so they didn't reunify the person because they needed an ankle monitor to work. So those are reasons that the judge is going to look at and evaluate what the government has done. is a tall order. Even the government acknowledges it. We're expecting the government to ask for more time in that. Part of the problem is data collection. Part of the problem is they just frankly didn't keep good records. So there are a lot of issues with communifying those parents. The ACLU, what they're hoping for at this point is that the government has learned from trying to reunify these younger kids and won't make the same mistake. The judge has made it very clear he doesn't want to hear excuses for why the kids aren't unified, and he wants to see swift action taken by the government.
Just really quick, are separations still happening?
There are some limited pieces, yes. Separations are still happening in limited pieces.
John Sepulveda of Nova Station KQED sharing his reporting for us this morning. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you, Rachel.
This is California Speaks. I'm Ben Trump. We ask you a question each week, and then we share the answers from around the state. Here's the most recent question. What do you think is missing from the conversation about undocumented immigration? Here's what you had to say.
This is Mike from San Francisco. Crossing the border illegally. Citizens get misdemeanors and worse every day. They jaywalk, they run red lights, they cheat on their taxes. Who is more deserving of zero tolerance? An impoverished family fleeing from violent thugs, or American citizens who think they are above the law?
Hi, this is Erica from Oakland, and I think there are two economic pieces that are missing from the discussion about undocumented immigration. One is the role of large corporate employers like agribusiness, and the other is how consumers' behavior around choosing how much to pay for what and what they would tolerate in terms of pricing is impacted by the fact that there are undocumented immigrants and how that would change if there were not.
You can find those answers transcribed at speakca.com. That's also where you can find archives of all the questions and answers from the project. Ready for the next one? Here we go. Should California be split into 3 states? It could be a proposition you vote on in November. So let's hear what you think. Call 1-833-SPEAK-CA. That's 1-833-773-2522. Make your voice heard. This is 99%. opening the high frontier means making possible and ensuring the survival of the human race. Jerry O'Neill wanted to build settlements in this space. Like this planet, the best thing you can do for it is to move as much industry and as many people as possible from its surface out into space. O'Neill was motivated and really saw his ideas as a form of environmentalism.
Jerry O'Neill wasn't the first person to imagine human habitats in space. But unlike others who had come before him, O'Neill was the first to crunch all the numbers and come up with technologically feasible designs.
Over the course of his work, he would turn skeptics into true believers, find support from NASA, and start a social movement toward the goal of building human colonies in space.
He was very famous already as a physicist and performed space colonies and perspective in first.
That's Freeman Dyson.
Yes, that Freeman Dyson, and the retired professor
Dyson is an artist. He knows and believes in and he's got pop culture pride too. There's a video game character named after him. There's even a Star Trek episode about one of his concepts. In 1969, the same year the first astronauts walked on the moon, O'Neill posed a question to his introductory physics students at Princeton. What makes more sense, building human settlements on the surface of another planet, or building free-floating settlements in outer space?
Through lots of research and calculations, O'Neill estimates
First of all, you don't have to overcome gravity every time you go on and off a free-floating space settlement. But even more important, in space, you have access to the sun's energy 100% of the time, so no other sources of fuel will find you.
But when the semester ended, O'Neill did stop.
It wasn't just dreams of some rather remote future. It was something O'Neill really thought he could do.
O'Neill decided he would build his settlements at a place in our solar system 250,000 miles from the Earth called Lagrange or Lagrange Point.
The Lagrange points are places in space where objects stay put.
Objects stay put because of Lagrange point 5, L5. The gravity of the Sun and Earth are at a special equilibrium. All of O'Neill's designs for habitats were variations on cylinders, spheres, or ring shapes, and his designs have been copied all over science fiction. You can see O'Neill-esque designs in his Weasel, Stellar.
The design that I found the easiest to picture basically looks like a giant encyclopedia floating in space. The people would live inside the tire part of the wheel, which itself would be enormous. There would be huge windows that let in sunlight and allowed amazing views of outer space. The artist renderings of O'Neill's settlements make them look really Earth-like and appealing, with water, trees, and terraced housing.
Jerry O'Neill imagined the first structure in the house 10,000 and subsequent structures in the house up to 3 million. He hoped that eventually these settlements would unburden the Earth with a significant population. L5ers wanted to change the way humans exist in the universe. They were serious space astronauts. But it was the same. A strange convergence of scientists and hippies and beautiful nerds of every stripe. Beautiful nerds who adventurers.
That's Bill Higgins. He's a physicist and former L5er who went to a lot of science fiction conventions in the 70s. Bill co-wrote the lyrics to a song that became somewhat of an anthem for L5ers.
Give me your locus, where the gravitas focus, where the three-body problem is solved, where the microwaves flow down.
person is doing significant damage to innocent people, and I wasn't going to sit there and watch that continue to happen.
On this week's On the Media from WNYC.
Tonight at 6 p.m. here on 91.7 KEFW San Francisco.
Good morning. President Trump undercuts Britain's Prime Minister Theresa May in a scathing interview just before joining her at an elaborate state dinner. How Trump is changing the special relationship on Morning Edition of NPR News. This hour we'll talk with former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, about how President Trump is reshaping the global order. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Rachel Martin. After haranguing European allies, President Trump heads to Finland for a summit with Vladimir Putin on Monday. What does each leader stand to gain? Pakistan's former prime minister returns to that country to face arrest. And on StoryCorps, a father and daughter share their love of boxing. It is Friday, July 13th, a very lucky day for Patrick Stewart, better known as Captain Jean-Luc Picard. The actor turned 78 years old today.
Wow.
News is next.
This is the BBC News. Hello, I'm John Harrison. President Trump has declared besides the British Prime Minister Theresa May. The British newspaper, speaking of the German news conference on elections today, said the article did not include his praise for her and amounted to fake news.
The input the Prime Minister, I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister, and unfortunately there was a story that was done which was, generally fine, but it didn't put in what I said about the Prime Minister, and I said tremendous things. And unfortunately, we tend to report the stories now, so we have it for your enjoyment if you like. We record them for fake news. We solve a lot of problems.
Mrs. May said that they had reached agreement on the way forward to what she hoped would be an ambitious trade deal for proposals made by the cabinet last Friday.
As the UK leaves the European Union, we will pursue an ambitious US-UK free trade agreement. The Chequers Agreement reached last week provides the platform for Donald and me to agree an ambitious deal that works for both countries right across our economies. A deal that builds on the UK's independent trade policy, reducing tariffs, delivering a gold standard in financial services cooperation, and as two of the world's most advanced economies, seizing the opportunity of new technology.
Demonstrations have begun in central London and elsewhere against Mr. Trump's visit. Thousands of people carrying drums and saucepans have been making their way through the capital to Parliament Square, where earlier a large anti-Trump balloon was tethered. It caricatured him as an angry, orange-coloured baby in nappies carrying a mobile phone. More protesters are gathering for a second rally that will end in Trafalgar Square. Other demonstrations are taking place in cities including Newcastle, Birmingham, and Manchester. Reports from eastern Syria say an airstrike has killed more than 50 people, one of the last holdouts of the jihadist group Islamic State, close to the border with Iran. The US-led coalition against IS has said that it or its partner forces may have conducted the strikes. Sebastian Usher reports.
Syrian state media sources have already accused the US-led coalition of carrying out the airstrike. The coalition now appears to have given implicit confirmation. Its claims expose those of the Iraqi Air Force continue to carry out raids on the remaining IS positions in the east of Syria. The coalition's airstrikes are in support of the Kurdish-led alliance has been key to the defeat of IS in Syria. The pro-government forces are also attacking jihadists who were in regions where they took refuge. Both in Syria and Iraq, IS has continued to pose a threat despite its territorial defeat. Mr. Haider al-Abadi has travelled to the southern city of Basra in a bid to calm days of protest against unemployment. Demonstrations broke out last Sunday were fueled further by the general protesting. You're listening to the World News from the BBC. State radio in Cameroon says a convoy carrying Defence Minister Joseph Akinsono and Judy Scarf has been ambushed by separatists in the rest of Anglophone southwestern region. Details are unclear, but the radio broadcaster said several attackers have been killed. There have been intermittent clashes between troops and separatists. The authorities in Germany have deported a Canadian man who allegedly served as a bodyguard to the Southern Army. While it was Secretary of Germany for 20 years, the judge in large bodyguard was deported because a German court ruled that he faced torture in his home country, Tunisia.
But over the last few months, politicians and media commentators have increased calls for his expulsion from Germany. The outrage was fueled by reports that the terror suspect collects $1,400 a month in German welfare benefits. On Friday morning, though, he was put on a plane back to Tunisia. Only afterwards did the Interior Ministry inform German court officials, who still maintained their